Okay, hello and welcome everybody. Welcome to the monthly licensing webinar focusing on Microsoft. Today is the 3rd of September. My name's Ian Gerard and I'm one of the Microsoft licensing specialists who work for Ultima. And thanks very much for joining this webinar. I did want to make it clear that this was being recorded, as is often the case, and a number of people, various being away and kind of putting it in the middle of the afternoon. This session is being recorded and being sent through. I know how that's how sometimes people prefer to have this delivered. We do have people available to answer the questions as well as myself. So if anything does come up during the course of this as this run through, then please just ask the question and we'll kind of cover them off at the end or as we go. Similarly, you had my contact details at the start there, so please don't hesitate to contact me should there only be this will be more specific to yourself. Every customer, every organization is different, challenges are different, right? So of course this is all going to have a slightly different meaning and interpretation, and you're going to find your own value at certain points or other. So contact your Ultima account team, contact myself directly or your licensing specialist directly, and we'll find you the right answer. And this is, I think we've got an hour booked in. As always, look to kind of get through that get through the agenda today in around 30 minutes time. Now it is a high level introduction, so please do bear that in mind. We are going to be going through the CSP platform, covering off just exactly at a high level what exactly CSP is, and as an organization now buying product from Microsoft, really what are your options and how do these compare, which is going to offer you the most value and which is a little bit more supportive of the future direction of either you as an organization or generally what Microsoft are doing, where they're going as an organization. We'll obviously then build in what Ultima are doing to support our customers around this future piece, around these new purchasing methodologies and ways that we can add value and add services and all that great stuff. And then, as per normal, we'll cover off the other Microsoft announcements, as there are announcements coming out every day, as I'm sure you're aware, some more critical than others. So we'll cover off a little bit around Microsoft's new financial year, around some of the changes to how they're licensing some of their Office 365 applications. We'll look at the SQL hybrid use benefit and some new products from Dynamics and some other changes that I will cover off. As always, and as already covered, if you do have any questions, then please don't hesitate to ask them as we go, and I'll certainly look to address them as we go or at the end, or contact me directly afterwards, or your account specialist or your account manager. I'll stop talking. The first slide here really is why did Microsoft 18 months ago introduce CSP. So it is always worth bearing in mind that the estate from where we were coming from and where we're going to. So on this left hand side here, you can effectively see the traditional ways to buy licensing from Microsoft, their current approach, if you like, although we are doing the transition. But the point being that in actual fact, you have the enterprise agreement, you have a Select Plus agreement, a MPSA agreement, these kind of evergreen agreements. You've got the local agreements like open value subscription. Yeah, of course, the CSP is in market. You've got the CSP agreement, you've got server and cloud enrollments, or you can go web direct. You can buy on the credit card, buy over the website. So there is a huge proliferation of ways to buy the Microsoft product. And what Microsoft are looking to do, where they're heading over time, where organizations want to head, and certainly what Microsoft and Ultima are kind of working closely with, is to simplify this, to consolidate it down, to leave you with a common catalog where you can choose what you want to buy. And then really it becomes less of a question for you as a customer to, well, this is going to be cheaper, this way is cheaper than that way. It's going to be, well, actually, give or take, the costing might be the same. So it's all around which way is going to offer us the most value, what's going to give us the most support, and actually allow us to focus on those areas where we want to focus, not necessarily on the intricacies of how to purchase Microsoft licensing or how to make sure you're leveraging the value from those purchases that you do make. So, simply put, that's the whole methodology, to get away from this agreement sprawl and this complexity, to make it all simple And so for you as an organization, you've got a simple choice about which partner or which program or which platform agreement is going to provide the most benefit to you as an organization, the most value add, the best services. So when we start thinking about the cloud solution provider, CSP, I mean, what is it? It is this month. I know many of you already know this, so apologies for going over a program that has been available for the best part of 2 years. So I am aware that people may be aware of this. Apologies if it's too high level, but CSP is constantly changing as well, right? So it is a monthly cloud licensing program. So you can quite simply buy the cloud licenses you need as an organization, increase or decrease them on a monthly basis. Yeah, we can go into more detail. There are annual options. You can lock for a price for a year or even 3 years. It is an agreement that is supported by the partner. So what that simply means is that Ultima or your CSP partner would be the one sending you the invoice, not Microsoft. So it's the partner, it's Ultima, who offer the 24/7 support. It's us who kind of help manage the portal, provide you with a self-service portal. It's the relationship with the partner as opposed to directly with the vendor. Obviously EA kind of buying on the credit card over the website, that's direct with the vendor. And yeah, I mean, the third point I really wanted to call out is all those other larger volume license agreements. You've got minimums. You need to buy 500 licenses. You need to commit to 50 cores. You need to be doing at least £100,000 in, whatever it is. Under CSP, there are no minimums. So you can absolutely start with just one subscription if that is all that you need. Or you can start with 100, or you can start with 10,000. You know, there's no minimum requirements. There's no price levels. So great, those minimum 1, 2, 3, 10, 50 licenses are going to get the same price as the larger ones as well. Obviously, of course, when you get to some much bigger numbers, there is going to be some incentives around some of the larger numbers, and then you can look into actually, well, maybe there's these products you want to increase and decrease monthly, but then there's these ones where you're happy to make a longer term commitment where you want to lock the price and you want to get a good price point for that. So really CSP can be all of these things underneath a single agreement that's supported by the partner, and you, the customer, get full 24/7 support, but visibility of all the portals as well. Yeah, I mean, CSP is also constantly being updated. One of the things we're going to talk about later is more updates, but there is some on-premise licensing available. So it's called the Cloud Solution Provider, the CSP agreement, but it's not just got cloud options on there. It doesn't have all the cloud options on there either. So it's still developing as a platform. You can't do your add-ons or your step-ups. You know, if you've got Exchange Online Plan 2, you can't step up from that to E3 as you could do within an EA, for example. You have to take one out and then reintroduce the other. But because you can address it monthly, in theory, you're never over committing. So this is really a really great way many organizations are approaching their licensing. Similarly, you know, I'm very aware for the larger organizations, actually this kind of granular intricacy isn't really going to provide the best value, which is why there are still annual and 3-year price locking and ways to manage the licensing, which is perhaps a little bit more better use of time with some of the larger organizations, or changing it to quarterly or biannually, whatever it is. So when we do start comparing CSP today, again, covering over ground a little bit here, but just to reiterate, in the future, yes, there's open and MPSA still today, but in the future, it's going to be, as an organization, you're going to be having an enterprise agreement where you're kind of over 500 users, direct agreement with Microsoft. You know, perhaps you've got some complicated terms, you've got some intricate payment schedules or pricing, all that great stuff, but you're over 500 seats and you're buying an enterprise agreement, or you're buying Web Direct, this directly from Microsoft credit card on the website, ad hoc. Or the third option, then you would be under a CSP agreement. Yeah, CSP isn't everything yet, but those effectively in the future, there will be the 3 main ways. These will be the 3 main ways to buy the Microsoft product if they aren't already. One of the major things we're doing is really looking at one of the major benefits we're seeing with CSP is actually for level A enterprise agreement customers, or certainly those up to and kind of 1,000 users or below, really looking at that difference between CSP and EA. Well, what exactly is the difference? Where exactly are the benefits? What products are available? This is a bit of an eye chart, I'm aware, but these slides are going to be made aware, and here is a quick matrix which does absolutely compare the CSP option with 1 user subscription against the EAs and the benefits of that with the 500 users. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail or covering ground which isn't kind of required or already known, but you know, with the enterprise agreement, it's all around standardization, entering in an EA like a 3-year cost model with all your pricing locked and a great good price point. You get your additional software assurance benefits, and effectively, give or take, you can look to address your licensing, manage your licensing on an annual basis. And then all the value is around the training vouchers, the planning services days, getting you to use all of those products that you've bought, while providing a consistent and budgetable commercial position as well, as opposed to the CSP agreement, which is much more flexible, and is directly with Ultima, invoiced by Ultima. But you know, there's no penalty for reducing licenses, but there are some limitations around the use rights of the products. Not every product is included. So this really is the point where you would say, look, every element here is going to have a different impact on a different organization. So this is where you would absolutely speak to myself or your specialist, or to your partner, to anyone who's in the know, really understanding, is one agreement going to be right for the organization? And I think ultimately what you're going to find is that you'll have an organization perhaps with an EA for them for some products, and maybe CSP for some products as well. So really, with this future landscape, with this developing CSP, with this very live conversation about, well, actually, how do we address our users? How do we profile our users? How do we approach this in the first instance? So what are Ultima doing to support customers? So we're doing a lot. We're doing things like this. But actually, if you were to sign up for our platform, what you're going to get is access to all of your licenses, first and foremost, you know, on a single platform. Okay, you're going to see all of the package services solutions that Ultima offer, whether that is around Office 365 readiness, whether that is around how to deploy certain services or how to change the users on your agreements. You will be able to do things like track your order history, invoices, consumption, query any usage change, be aware about your upcoming charges, and really be able to track in a pretty live environment. So that's what Ultima are doing around the CSP platform at a very high level, but it's almost, you know, it's also so much more than that, and it's constantly being developed by Microsoft, but also from our side. So when you look at an Ultima CSP, you'll be getting all the things that you will expect, which is the optimization services, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well. You're going to be getting the unlimited licensing support, so very much aping the enterprise agreement model of an enterprise grade support service for all of our customers, even if whether you're on the EA or the CSP type agreement. We're offering really good SLAs in regards to coming back to you for quoting and for making sure those licenses become almost immediately available. I've already covered off the various billing and subscription support, but whatever it is you're doing, whether it's just ordering an Exchange Online license or you're doing some self-servicing within the portal itself, all of this is going to be supported 24/7 by 365 with our technical support center, and that is with 365, that's with Dynamics, that's with Azure, that's really across that full Microsoft cloud estate. But there's certain areas that we're seeing that customers are getting more value from than others. There's certain technologies that Ultima have invested in, well, you know, which we're getting some pretty good feedback from customers. And one of those is absolutely this autonomous cloud essentials. AC Essentials is this platform that effectively Ultima have put together for our customers, very much an infrastructure focus, so all around Azure, but this is something that we're getting really kind of good feedback from, and ultimately is something that I'd like to talk about because our customers are getting the value from it. There is, I mean, it's all relative, but there is various ways, there's various new challenges, if you like, which the cloud bring or have brought. There's so many ways to manage your infrastructure platforms now. It is, you know, hinging on 4 main drivers mainly. It's around the scale. It's now, that scale is now larger and easier to grow than ever before. The services within the cloud itself are vast. Automation, it's kind of moving away now, really away from, which is still important, the BAU piece, but really it's moving towards innovation. As a management service, what are you doing around innovation? And finally, efficiency with all of these larger scales, more services and more innovation. Costs can easily spiral if not managed. Moving to the cloud isn't necessarily going to be a cost saving perspective from a licensing kind of Microsoft perspective. However, what we're trying to say is, generally speaking, we believe that today's solutions are unsustainable for the new cloud world. So it does require more kind of manual tweaking. Your environments are not necessarily weren't traditionally built for the cloud. So there's heavy reliance on agents. You need VPNs to work fully. Everything's kind of tacked on. Cloud's kind of tacked on to the existing infrastructure. So this is the kind of problem that we're hearing customers encounter. Is that a problem? The new challenge the customers are encountering, very much the messaging from Microsoft and Gartner and all trade magazines was around the cloud being being able to absolutely provide the management around the infrastructure, the platform, and the antivirus, the patching, and all the things that you see there. And we've realized perhaps over, and this is all subjective, right? And this is all very much built into what I'm going to be talking about. But there is a strong argument to say, well, the reality is, really you as the customer are managing the vast majority of your infrastructure, let's be honest. And yeah, sure, the physical infrastructure is taken care of by the partner, but everything right down to the operating system is kind of left to in your hands. And again, really, just to kind of come back, that's really what Autonomous Cloud is kind of positioning. This is what Ultima we are kind of positioning to cover off these challenges of this public cloud, to challenge the fact that it's something where we can look to address the costs a little bit more, to address some of those challenges. And the way we are addressing those challenges is with Autonomous Cloud, as I said. So you've got this kind of in-house development of a cloud native support structure. So it is absolutely cloud ready because that's where it's been built. It removes those, it's automated to the best ability, removes those manual tasks from the administrators where it is possible. And ultimately, yeah, of course, it does lower costs within region as well. So when we start looking at AC Essentials, it's cloud ready, built on cloud services and APIs. It's an integrated experience. Yeah, giving time back to the admins in regards to automation. So there is 100% accuracy there. So then your focus will be on the applications rather than the infrastructure, because that's taken care of. Costs slowing up to 10% really, looking at things like virtual machines in stopped state, automatically deallocating, reduce unnecessary costs, but really around that time reduction. No time taken needing to onboarded machines into the alert platform. No time needed documenting your Azure estate, so you can increase your focus. So when we start looking at enhanced dashboards, it covers your entire infrastructure estate. You've got this 30-day view across your environment to show all the trends of your spends and what you're doing. But yeah, of course, you can get 24-hour view if you need to. You can drill down further into each cost metric, so you can really start, if you needed to, and on review, start seeing where those savings can be made. It's all real-time statistics. You get, it's all fully reported, as we said as well. So it's this kind of 100% accuracy with zero effort. So the focus can be put back onto those key drivers we mentioned at the start around innovation, around efficient costs, and around leveraging the vast services that are available in the cloud. And obviously, the best news being that it comes included. It comes included with new CSP tenants. So this is not something that's an additional charge for our CSP Azure customers, and we're just looking to get more and more people enrolled onto this as soon as possible, really. So please do take advantage and speak to us about it. I'm talking about specifically the Azure Essentials, which is this infrastructure focus. So yeah, look, there are other levels to go. We then look on to, once that's you know, once you've seen the value of that platform, then we can start looking at things like the full AC platform and look at some of the platform services, and finally into services as well, so more of a holistic service. So you've got these steps, but effectively I'm talking about the AC essentials, and just so much value there for customers. We can get you up and running, so please do speak to us about that. It's included in your cost. I did want to cover off some other updates as well in regards to what Microsoft are doing since the start of their new financial year. And the first major update, which I actually drew upon earlier, is a little bit just around the changes to CSP. You know, coming back to the wider CSP, so talking about Office 365, Dynamics and Azure all together. Well, actually, perpetual licensing is now coming to the CSP platform from September, from 3 days ago. So they've basically permitted the sale of perpetual licenses. So now if you wanted to just buy an Office standard license, buy it, own it outright, take it away, thank you very much. You can use CSP for that now. So even within that cloud platform, these are the changes that we were seeing almost on a monthly basis. You can't renew software assurance when you're buying these perpetual licenses. You cannot tack on, you can't add, you can't include software assurance at this point. So yeah, perpetual licensing is a great addition. So if you do have legacy issues, you need to run older versions of software and do that on an on-premise environment, this is perfect for that, and stops you having to take out like an open agreement, like an MPSA, like a SLEP Plus. Again, reducing down those number of that agreement sprawl by just bringing more and more content to the various CSP or EA offerings, in this case CSP. Another major change, another great change, is the fact that you can now buy device-based licensing for cloud subscription, specifically in this case Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So we're talking about, rather than it being per user per month, it's per device per month. So you can, and again, Microsoft 365 apps is the new name for basically Office 365 Pro Plus. Office Pro Plus deployed, the latest version, but that cloud click to run version, but it is as a device-based license, so multiple users can use that same single device. Just seeing it on the application side at the moment. So we are not looking at, for your servers like Exchange, email, Teams, that's still very much per user, to be clear. This is just on the Office application side, and a slightly different price point as well, but that's a new introduction. It's a good introduction, very good for those where device-based licensing is more cost effective. Other updates in recent news is, I touched upon it a little bit really, and this is something that's always very subjective and it does depend on each organization, but generally speaking, Microsoft's new financial year, as we know, started on the 1st of July. And again, a lot of the messaging, they reallocated all of the managed services accounts, and a lot of the high level work that we've done in this early new year is just re-emphasizing the fact that if you're an enterprise agreement customer, level A enterprise agreement customer, specifically those kind of up to about 1,000 seats in particular, if you've got a renewal coming in the next 12 months, you will see Microsoft have effectively taken the baseline position of not really offering discounts for that renewal. Again, just because actually CSP can now compete from a cost perspective, and actually CSP could offer you better value. I'm being very general, very, very vague. Sometimes EA is absolutely still the right agreement for your organization. Sometimes the price point will get there as well. What I'm saying is that from this new financial year, again, we really are seeing a new focus from Microsoft, as they always do, saying, well, actually, with these kind of 1,000+ level A EA renewals, you're going to be looking at a very, very low kind of starting at 2%, maybe getting to 5% discount. But even then, I think that's a pretty strong message, especially when those customers 3 years ago, those same customers 3 years ago, when they did that EA, which are now coming up for renewal, they would have been getting double digits. So to go from that to zero over the last 3 years is something we're making sure that the community is a community that the customers are aware of. Don't get me wrong, we fight for every customer. EA might still be right. We still have all those conversations and all that negotiation, but it is something you need to be aware of. SQL hybrid use benefits. So the Microsoft, good news, so Microsoft are expanding the rights for the SQL hybrid use benefits. So for example, if you had active software assurance on SQL Server Standard on-premise and you were transitioning, moving to the cloud, but you still had this active software assurance, you could invoke the hybrid use benefit within that and say, well, I'm actually going to cover some of my SQL servers, some of my virtual machines running in Azure. And that SQL, hybrid use benefit would reduce cost by about 20% or so, 30% or so. But, software assurance on SQL Standard on-premise meant you could cover SQL Standard in Azure. This update basically means you can now cover, if you've got Standard, can cover Enterprise and vice versa. So it's a broadening of the rights. It's great, extra flexibility. It really is a key change. So if you've got SQL Server Standard licenses with active software assurance, which are not being used on premise, you can use that license, that hybrid benefit with that software assurance to cover SQL Enterprise within Azure. So it is an important one, and please speak to us and our specialists to understand how that may or may not impact you. There's another update which I haven't actually put on here, which is also regards advanced communications with Teams. So this is for, when you say advanced communications, I might have got the name wrong, apologies. Basically, there's a limitation on the live meeting with Teams, only in regards to it's set at 10,000 users. So if you are making an organizational wide presentation, CEO wants to deliver some messaging, HR manager wants to deliver some messaging or whatever, it's not a it's not a question answer, it's not a feedback session, it's just a message being delivered. There's a limitation up to 10,000 users. Microsoft are increasing that to 20,000 users. If you think that impacts your organization or is a good thing, as in, yeah, we need that, then please contact us and we'll let you know the price point to do that. Your region of around £500 per month, give or take, very, very high level. There's a new product called Dynamics Fraud Protection. Again, it's under the same licensing model as the other Dynamics 365 products. So we have your base license, and then you can attach other applications on top at a fraction, 20% of the price. So this Dynamics Fraud Protection could be a base, but could also be an attach. And generally speaking, it's for exactly what it sounds like, right? It's for assessing online payment transactions for fraud, being able to have that live in-store identification of potential fraud. So if that is something you as an organization are interested in, it is a new product from Microsoft, and we can start advising around what the this is a Microsoft slide, right? So the pricing here is in dollars, but let us know and we can kind of make you aware of the pricing that's relevant to your organization. That's from a licensing perspective. Let me just throw in a quick caveat that Ultima are not a Dynamics partner, an expert Dynamics partner. We partner with partners and work closely with Microsoft, but I'm very happy to help around the licensing side, but sometimes we work closely with other partners, with Dynamics experts, to really understand the profiling of your user, to identify the correct way forward, the correct applications to give you what you need. Okay, fantastic. So again, it feels like I have raced through that at a very high level. That was 30 minutes. So thanks very much for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions. Excellent. Well, I will take that as it was entirely misunderstood or entirely understood, and the slides will be made available. Like to say, there's my contact details, but do please contact us should you have any more follow-up questions or anything else kind of crops up or anything wasn't clear or you need to know any more information. Other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time, and goodbye.